Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Pittsburgh. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Paul Cheon, where we've got Chris Botello. Take a look at Chris. Do you remember Chris? Do you recognize him? You might not because you were probably playing in the GP, but he was the one that played Cat Pact.
Oh, I
Remember
do remember.
that?
He's the Cat Pact guy.
He's the Cat Pact guy, yeah. And his opponent, Ricardo Yota, is playing Black Green Delirium. And it looks like Chris is a bit of a brewer.
Oh, yeah.
He's running Sultai Marvel here. When you see that, is that a straight up brew to you, or is that a deck that you're familiar with? Because I haven't seen a Sultai Marvel deck myself.
Teaming with Matt Nass, I'm very familiar with a lot of different flavors of Marvel, but this one specifically, I am not, because I'm trying to figure out what you're looking to Marvel into. So this does kind of confuse me because a lot of
Servant of the Conduit.
Well, that's a card that I would have expected because Servant of the Conduit obviously generates energy and allows you to play a Marvel turn 3.
That's not your payoff, though.
Yeah. Well,
you could just say no.
I remember when Matt Ness was actually testing a Marvel deck. He was playing the Jeskai Marvel deck, and he was. I remember activating a Marvel, hitting an Oath of Nissa, then bricking. So I looked at 9 cards and I was like, okay, this is not the deck for me.
And then you played it at the Pro Tour.
I did not. It was for this Pro Tour.
Oh, for this one.
Yeah.
But you did play Marvel at the last PT, did you not?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. That wasn't enough for you to say this is not the deck for me?
Yeah.
I like where this is going already. Chris Botello with the Rogue Refiner on turn 3 here, getting himself a couple energy and drawing a card.
Yeah, this is definitely the ideal start here. 7 energy. He's got it actually looks like he's got the Marvel, so a turn 4 Marvel, and then we get to see what he can get.
Okay, Paul, I've got the deck list for you to.
I'm really excited
to ponder here. So there's the one. I got Ricardo's deck list here too, if we want to take a look. But I really want to know what's going on in Chris's side of the battlefield here, because I love the start. I mean, this is just sweet.
Right.
Look how much energy he has.
He's got a ton. I mean,
he's made 2 energy every turn plus an additional energy from the Ether Hub. He's got 7 energy right now.
He's got a ton of energy to activate the Marvel. Looking at the deck list here, he's got access to 4 copies of Distended Mindbender.
Is that what he's trying to hit? That doesn't work the way you want. It does work the way you want, doesn't it?
It does, because you can just hardcast it, along with 3 copies of Elder Deep Fiend and 1 copy of Demon of Dark Schemes.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Chris went deep. I like it. Let's see if he has the Marvel for next turn. For now, Grimflayer is attacking, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him trade off the Rogue Refiner. That is a fantastic transaction for Chris. Yeah. He gets a card, energy, and takes out one of his opponent's better threats. That is just too good.
Yeah, Rogue Refiner is a fantastic card. Oh, but...
Well, Liliana the Last Hope, what is she going to do here? Tick upwards, shrink down the Servant of the Conduit. Doesn't really do much here, but Liliana gets to hang around and be an issue later.
Right. It looks like Ricardo's playing the Liliana this turn to just protect it, and then on the following turn, he'll probably have another play along with the ability to get back.
Marvel.
Something.
Yes, he did.
Here it is.
He did. He's even going to get an extra energy from his Evolving Wilds. Chris playing very cleanly, but he gets to spin the wheel here on turn 4.
This is always exciting.
Oh, baby.
I was kind of hoping for there to be a couple of copies of Ulamog in there, just for a little extra spice, but it looks like Chris is interested in casting.
Isn't that not the best thing you can hit off a Marvel?
It is, but I think...
He's hedging?
Yeah, the way Chris built his deck, he wants to be able to basically emerge into them. As well.
And or hit off of Marvel.
Exactly.
Because he can't cast Ulamog outside of Marvel, like realistically.
Yeah, it would take a bit of time.
Right. So it's interesting because the timing on when you actually spin the wheel on the Marvel is interesting. Like, he's going to do it now on the draw step of his opponent because of Distended Mindbender, but it was weird. When Emrakul was legal, it was like, well, do you want to do it now? Do you want to do it later? Let's see what he hits. Oh, there's definitely Distended Mindbender in there.
It looks like an Elder Deep Fiend.
He's going to go for the Deep Fiend, though. Tap your Liliana. That's right. Taste it.
It's great.
Oh, man. So not bad, right? I mean, that's pretty good. Like, turn 4 Elder Deep Fiend on a curve out here.
Yeah, that is pretty good. And the draw step is, for the most part, the time when you want to do it. Again, because you have access to Distended Mindbender, also you have access to Elder Deep Fiend, so you want to be able to tap down your opponent's permanents, including Planeswalkers.
And this is effectively going to shut off Ricardo's entire turn. Fatal Push, about the only thing he can realistically cast here, though he does actually have one. I don't know if killing the Servant of the Conduit's on the menu here, but this turn, really great for Chris. I mean, he's going to get to just kill Liliana. It's going to force Ricardo to do this, which is, okay, fine, I guess I'll have to minus Liliana if she's going to go away anyway. Oh, but he hit a Gonti. That's not bad.
Yeah, it looks like Ricardo's basically giving up on the Liliana.
Gonti looks good here as well, right? Like against an Elder Deep Fiend?
Right. So another thing Ricardo could have done is basically use the Liliana, take it up on the Elder Deep Fiend, and then use the Fatal Push on the Servant, and the Liliana would have actually survived for another turn. Ooh.
He could have had Liliana at 1. This is a little bit risky here from Chris. Did he... it looks like he attacked Servant at Liliana and Deep Fiend at Ricardo, though I actually thought Ricardo did have a Fatal Push.
Yeah.
Would you not have used it there?
I'm guessing that he probably doesn't have a Fatal Push. I think that might actually be a Ruinous Path.
Okay, good, fair enough. Yeah.
Oh.
Dear God. Yeah, Fatal Push would have been really good there in retrospect, but he must not have one. So Ricardo, unfortunately for him, that was a risky play by Chris, though. Our players are tempting fate, shall we say. He got punished last round. This time, though, Chris does not. And now he's just smashing. Look at that. Business mode, combat, bash you, put you to 5.
Yeah, I can't even think of something that...
crushing.
I can't even think of what Ricardo could have to help him come back from this. He has 10 power on the board. Oh, and a Tireless Tracker for extra value.
I talked to Chris after that GP, and he seemed like a nice guy. I'm rethinking that now.
This isn't very nice.
Hey, at least Ricardo finally gets a turn.
Ricardo just wants to play Magic, and Chris is just not letting him do that.
Man, punishing people who forgot about Elder Deep Fiend.
Oh, yeah.
Dear God. Ricardo has had 1 mana for the last 2 turns available, and he looks like he's feeling it. I would be tilting, too. He's trying to come up with a way. I mean, if he does... God, there's just no way, right? Even if he killed both Deep Fiends, all Chris needs is a land to kill Ricardo.
Right, and the thing is, if he killed both Deep Fiends, that's just going to give Chris more energy for his Marvel.
Yeah. What a beating. All right, well, Ruinous Path to kill the Deep Fiend.
Okay.
And the Marvel's charging up. You can see it start to glow now.
Step 1.
He's heating up.
I guess Ricardo probably just choosing to not give away any more information before moving on to the next game.
Game, right. I was going to say not turn, but game. All right. Well, that was a savage beating.
Yeah. I wonder if Chris wants to have a little more fun and just play that second Marvel just to get another spin, because he will get 2 extra energy if he does that.
Yeah, he also could just win the game here instead.
That's also fine.
He's got 2 lethal attackers if he sacrifices... Or sorry, he doesn't actually have a clue to sacrifice. All right, well, this does actually keep Ricardo alive. Interesting. Okay, go to 1.
Yeah, I actually think playing the Marvel was correct there, because if he played the Marvel, if he played the Marvel and spun the Marvel, he could have actually found an Attune with Ether, which would have gotten him the land to have a lethal Tireless Tracker. Chris is still very far ahead here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But this is interesting now. Like, it does look like Ricardo's going to get an untapped step here. Okay, he's going to play the Marvel post-combat. It dies. He gets a couple of energy off of it. And we'll probably just see the same play that we saw before from Chris, which is draw step, fire it off. Let's see what he does. No, he's going to let him draw. No, sorry, it isn't. Yeah. He is inside of his draw step now, so he's going to spin it.
All right, here we go.
He doesn't need much. He only hit a Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot.
Ooh, okay. So
which
that does
basically
give him
a free spin, unfortunately, for Ricardo.
But it does give Ricardo kind of the ability to maybe claw back into the game.
Right. But come on, he can't really come back.
Well, Ricardo does have an Ishkana in hand, and it looks like
Are
he
you
has.
serious?
Yeah, I think he's delirious. He's got Liliana, Grim Flare, Land, and Murder.
He does.
Yeah.
He's very delirious. Dude, if Ricardo comes back from this,
That would be insane.
he's going to have to come back from minimum 3 Aetherworks Marvel spins. Also, having effectively all of his mana taken away for 2 turns in a row in an absolutely critical juncture in the game.
Yeah. That would be pretty crazy.
It is unlikely, shall we say, but my God, it would be sweet if he did it. Walking Ballista.
Oh, so maybe he doesn't have an Ishkana. I thought he did.
Okay.
All right. No,
He
that
does.
that is an Ishkana.
What is happening right now?
I'm not sure.
Okay, make a 4/4.
Oh.
What are you seeing here, Paul?
I think Ricardo is just going to sacrifice the Walking Ballista and maybe just use the Fatal Push to kill the Tireless Tracker. Just get it off the board. Or not.
Well, he might still do it.
Right.
It's dangerous though, because if we go to Chris's main phase, Chris will have priority. Oh, here's Fatal Push though for the Flare.
I see your Fatal Push.
Yes, and raise you 1 Fatal Push. So that worked out nicely for Ricardo.
Right.
He was taking on some risk. Of course, the downside to the play that Ricardo made is if we get to Chris's main phase, he can just play a land.
Right.
And you cannot respond like he's getting a clue off of that Tireless Tracker. But the upside to it is that he still has his Walking Ballista here for blocking duty or whatever. Sanctum of Ugin after the second Tireless Tracker, 4 energy for the Aetherworks Marvel. He could go up to the requisite amount pretty easily here with the Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot.
Yeah, it looks like Chris may have wanted to keep an extra forest untapped here because he's now going to have to spend an energy to use the Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot.
Yeah, a little bit awkward there.
Yeah. But he still has enough. Still gets enough.
Yep, he's still going to end up with the 6 energy plus an additional. So here we go again. This is the 3rd spin. How much more can Ricardo take?
Given what's been happening, I'm assuming he's just going to do it in the draw step again. Yeah.
And it makes sense. That's what he's going to do again. Last time, it's hard to say he whiffed when he effectively got a chance to spin again, but
there it
Demon of Dark Schemes. Do it.
Is there anything else?
This is just sweet. I think that's a question you could ask of the world. Is there anything else other than that demon? Not really. Not for me, anyway.
Oh, that is sweet.
All right, that's actually going to kill the Walking Ballista. But not only the Walking Ballista.
It's a great way to make sure you hit once you have a bunch of energy now.
Yes. He's going to get even more energy from the demon, which is going to kill a couple of creatures here. Ricardo says, I'm going to ping you because this thing's going to die anyway. You can't sacrifice a clue. There we go.
Yeah.
I was like, that should die, right?
Yeah. Chris just
And
getting
then
all the energy off the
trigger.
demon trigger.
Yep. I mean, should he have even more, or was he on just straight 0 there? Because he gets 1 whenever a creature dies from the demon, but then, he's still got an Aetherworks Marvel sitting there,
I think the demon was on the stack.
Okay.
So that he sacked the ballista before he could get the energy off the ballista.
Okay,
dying.
so that didn't happen, but he did get it from the...
Right.
from the
Ricardo
tracker.
correctly playing around Demon of Dark Schemes and now choosing to play the Ishkana.
Now, how does this actually match up, though? Because remember, Chris can either build up more energy using the Aetherworks Marvel, or he can also start activating Demon of Dark Schemes, which, on top of being big and flying and sweet, it also has an activated ability. He can pay 4 energy, 2 and a black mana to get a creature from a graveyard back onto the battlefield tapped on his side. And it can be from Ricardo's graveyard, too, if there's something great there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think you get the trigger ability of the various Eldrazi
Not
that
those
Chris has
ones.
in his yard.
Not
but
those ones.
he can still just reanimate giant 5/6 monsters.
Yes.
It's another spin.
Or Grim Flayers. Yeah, there we go. and it is up to Chris. I mean, he could just take the guaranteed, I know what I'm getting and I'm only 2 energy away from doing it again with the demon. Or he can spin the wheel and just see what happens.
Okay, Marshall, I'm not going to lie. I was kind of sandbagging this card. I haven't told you about this card yet.
What did you held out? What else is in there?
Chris can also hit 2 copies of Burrell's Expertise.
What? Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh
my
man.
God.
That's insane.
Right. That could almost incentivize him to use this main phase because he's dug so deep. Oh, no, he actually cast the attune. But it might incentivize him to main phase that to bounce the 3 spiders.
And then force a chump block?
Exactly.
That's great. All right, he did nothing. He's going to main phase spin the wheel because Chris apparently is a junkie. This is the 4th time this game that he's played Aetherworks or spun the wheel.
This is the 4th time the charm.
All right, how about Distended Mindbender, everybody? Ricardo, how much more can you take, man?
If this was playtesting, I would have scooped like 4 turns ago.
Oh, God, yes. And it looks like he's going to...
That's a double hit.
Decimate the hand here. Bye-bye.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, and that was Ricardo's draw step, so he just has nothing he can do.
He has stone nothing. He just has to pass the turn back. Chris, have mercy, man. Don't kill him, Chris Botello. This is just brutal.
Ooh, Chris did have a Sanctum of Ugin that he chose to not use off of the Distended Mindbender.
That's right. He didn't. He may have missed it. He may have.
Or he's using it. Yeah, he's holding it. I just kind of want to see another Marvel spin. I'm not going to lie.
I'm kind of over the Marvel spins now. 4-in-1 game. I'm all right with it.
The games just don't end on the spot, though. You're not getting Emrakul anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So, looks like he only attacked with a Distended Mindbender on the ground, and that prompted a chump block from Ricardo. Okay.
Which gave Chris
An
1 energy.
Yep.
He basically, with the demon in play, he basically has a two-way Marvel. The Marvel trigger, it activates for anything you lose on your side and also on your opponent's side.
That's right. He's doing it again, isn't he, Paul? He's already halfway there.
Ooh, Ricardo got to get in for 3.
Attaboy.
Slow and steady.
I really respect how Ricardo's played this game, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, he's got enough to spin the wheel again. He's got another Aetherworks Marvel plus a Servant of the Conduit.
Right.
And you know he's going to.
It is interesting to see that Chris, he's played this deck a lot more, so I'm assuming there's a lot going on here. But a lot of the time, you kind of want to see what you get off the Marvel.
Yep.
Get a little more information, and you can just go for lethal right away.
Yeah, Chris has 3 lethal threats, so he attacks with all of them. The attack does leave a Servant of the Conduit dead, but that's not even the end of the world for him because he's generating so much energy.
Yeah, that gave Chris 4 energy.
Yeah, and now he's got even more. He's back up to 9. Goodness sakes.
Oh.
Oh, interesting. Ricardo has Grasp of Darkness, which is actually good enough to finish off the Demon of Dark schemes. Now, the interesting part here is that Chris actually has the ability to activate it twice, not quite. Actually, yes, he can activate it twice in response to it dying here. It's 4 energy plus 3 mana per activation, and he has plenty. So now he's just going to fill out his board with lethal threats. Every creature in his deck attacks for lethal. So it's like, yeah, sure, get an Elder Deep Fiend. And I wouldn't be surprised if he used another 4 energy to get back. Okay, looks like he didn't, but I thought he might get back a Rogue Refiner. It's lethal and draws you a card.
Right.
He's decided not to in this case, though. This way, it's left him with exactly enough to do this.
This is way more fun, too.
Spin number 5 for Chris Botello.
He's seen half of his deck. 30 cards.
Don't kill him, Chris Botello. And another Distended Mindbender. Ricardo.
Not the best spot for
How
Brawl's
to traverse the Ulvenwald for his draw step, too.
Which likely would have found something like a Noxious Gearhulk.
Savage. And we have a conclusion here, round 2, game 1. Ricardo really fighting the fight there. I really do like how he played that. But Chris Botello, yeah, he looks like a nice guy. You think, hey, that guy's cool, right? Well, he wouldn't be mean to me. 5 spins later. That man is diabolical.
Yeah.
Don't believe what you heard.
After the 5th spin, you're just like, all right, come on, man.
Come on, man.
Just take it easy, please.
Finish me.
Yeah.
Look at him. Now he's like, how can I kill him more next game?
It's like, this is already a fantastic matchup.
Yeah.
How else can I ruin his day?
All right, well, looks like we're going to jump over. Hey, look, Joey Manor's back in the feature match. You remember him? Played Blue White Flash
Yep.
to the top 8 at PT Kaladesh. His opponent on the other side, Brandon Nietzsche. How would you say that?
Nietzsche.
Nietzsche?
I'm very bad with this, though.
All right. So don't ask you that question.
Right. I was admittedly, when I was practicing coverage, I wasn't practicing pronouncing difficult last names.
Yeah, that's more on my side anyway. You're fine with that.
So the green-white tokens mirror, I did not expect to be seeing that today.
Is this deck back or something?
Well, this was a deck that was actually played by quite a few members on Team Mass Drop.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think JC...
You're talking about the Pro Tour?
Yeah, at the Pro Tour, right. And I think JC Tao was like the highest finisher with the deck with either an X4 or X5 finish. I remember watching him at X4 in the last round. But the deck just plays a ton of great cards. It's got Ricardo, it's got Nissa, it's got Gideon. Just kind of like the old green-white deck, minus the Hangerback Walker, which has been replaced with Walking Ballista.
All right, back to Joey, who's got a Heart of Kirin, a card we expect to see a lot today, but who knows? Might have a target on it. And he's going to play Lambholt Pacifist, but of course you see the Thalia really doing good work against Lambholt Pacifist here. Bringing in to play tapped, making things kind of awkward. And there's a Selfless Spirit for Brandon, who's going to go ahead and ship in there for 3 damage, passing the turn back.
Yeah, Thalia was just absolutely brutal right there.
Yeah, that was nasty.
Looks like Joey's got a Gideon in play. But he doesn't have the planes, but he does have the Oath of Nissa, which will allow him to play it on turn 4 if he does have a land here. I guess a basic land. One thing to note is that Brandon did miss his 4th land drop. So despite the kind of great start,
this one could actually get out of hand pretty quickly here. Joey's going to use the ability of Heart of Kirin to get crewed by using a loyalty from his Gideon after using Gideon. It feels kind of weird to, do 2 things with a Planeswalker in 1 turn, but it is legal, and that's how this works.
Yeah, the interaction between Heart of Kirin and Gideon just continued to impress me when I was watching kind of the coverage at the Pro Tour.
And Brandon looks like he just chumped. Wow. He's going to fall way behind Joey here if that's the case. He did find his 4th land off the top. Brandon really scrambling to try to keep his life total intact. He's going to go Tireless Tracker land, but this looks a little slow compared to the beats that Joey Manor's laying down here.
Yeah, and the thing is,
Gideon's coming over, baby.
Right, and Brandon can't even finish off the Gideon here despite all the creatures in play being tapped because, of course, Heart of Kirin can just be crewed again through the loyalty from Gideon.
Oh, no. Does he not know that? Joey knows it. Whoops.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see an alley evasion here from Brandon. So that was just a misstep from him. It is, to be fair to Brandon, it is a very unintuitive interaction.
Absolutely.
It comes up not that often, and it's weird. Like, what? Like, you can't use anything on your Planeswalker on my turn, but you can.
One of the coolest things I saw, actually, with that interaction was when I was testing for the Pro Tour. My opponent was going off with the Jeskai Saheeli combo, and as they were going off, I had 1 black mana up. So they thought everything was fine. Mm-hmm. And I had Heart of Kirin and Gideon in play. In response to the combo, I sacrificed Gideon by removing all the loyalty counters, then Fatal Push the Felidar Guardian.
Oh, that is sweet. Wow. We saw somebody do that on camera. We saw Paulo do that, but he made an emblem.
I see.
And then Fatal Push, and we thought that was pretty tricky, but that's even better. Yours is like on your turn?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Things just kind of snowballing out of control here after that attack. There's just there's just not a whole lot he can do here.
No, he's way too far behind
And
now.
not even a card like Fumigate would get him out of here.
No. Oh, no. We're done here. Joey Manor way too far ahead here.
I also feel like Joey's basically just thinking of, how can I lose this game? Maybe if I play a little too many creatures right now into a Fumigate.
He doesn't have enough mana to activate that Westvale Abbey here, right?
He does not.
Yeah.
He needs one more.
Yeah, so whatever. I think he's content with his board state. He also got to transform his Lambholt Pacifist into Lambholt Butcher. All right, well, why don't we head back to our first match, Paul? The writing's on the wall here. Joey Manor is going to be able to take that one down. So let's see what Chris has lined up for us versus Ricardo on our main match.
Just taking a quick look at Chris's sideboard here, it just looks like basically he couldn't fit enough of the sweet cards into his main deck, so he just kind of put it all into his sideboard. There's a 4th copy of Elder Deep Fiend, a 2nd Demon of Dark Schemes, and a 3rd copy of Burrell's Expertise. And on top of that, Ether Squall Ancient in the sideboard.
Sure. Because he needed more energy.
Well, you just need more energy, more spins.
What in the world? All right, well, there's a Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot for Chris, so he's already up to 5 energy. Yes, it's turn 2.
Yeah, we've all seen this start before.
Oh, yeah.
Ricardo trying his best. Turn 2 Grimflayer. That's pretty much the best start you can have from that deck.
No, that is really good here, and he's going to get to connect with it. It's going to get him most of the way, perhaps all of the way to Delirium.
Yeah.
Smooth out his draw. This is a big deal from Ricardo being on the play here and hitting that. I mean, because he played a turn 2 Grimflayer last time, it just looked miserable.
Right.
I mean, Chris was just like, ha ha ha, just like went over the top of it consistently.
Yeah.
Here, though, it looks great.
That is traditionally how this kind of the Marvel versus Delirium matchup just plays out. The black-green deck plays a couple of creatures, can't really put a whole lot of pressure, and then the Marvel deck's just capable of just going over the top very easily.
I'm curious, why don't we look at Ricardo's sideboard and see if what he's got, does he have anything that can take care of an Aetherworks Marvel, for example?
Yeah, it looks like he's got 2 copies of Natural Obsolescence, which
right.
is going to be kind of a common thing that you're going to see in any deck that's playing green, again, because it puts artifacts on the bottom, which deals with Scrap Heap Scrounger. And you can actually use it to kill Marvel, and they will not get an energy because you're actually putting it on the bottom of the library and not killing it. I imagine he's got some number of hand disruption. Taking a look here, he's got 3 copies of Transgress the Mind, a Pick the Brain, and is probably likely to also bring in the 2 copies of Nixilis in the sideboard. And the 4 Fatal Pushes in the main, probably not making the cut. So
Ricardo writing down the hand here.
Looks like a Transgress the Mind.
Yeah, it's under his arm there.
It is a bit unfortunate for Ricardo in that Chris just has 2 giant emerge creatures that he can emerge off of, and he can't really stop him from doing it. So which card is actually going to hurt him more? And I would guess that the Distended Mindbender
That's what I
is
guess
the more
too.
problematic card.
Yeah, I mean, the Elder Deep Fiend's a problem temporarily, but Ricardo has removal spells that can kill it, and the 5/6 body he has ways to interact with.
Right.
The Descended Mindbender just leaves a mark on the game. Like, if it takes 2 spells or even 1 and you have to use a spell to kill it, you just feel like you're falling behind.
Okay, but on the flip side, Chris does not actually have a second black source on the battlefield. He does have an Evolving Wild, so it will take 1 extra turn.
I don't know, man. Maybe he's got a plan to take it away.
Right.
Like, he could have another Transgress in his hand. But.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, I'm like pretty nervous.
Oh yeah, you're just going to get completely destroyed by that card if it ever comes in.
That's right.
Okay.
So Chris is fatal pushing away the Grimflayer.
I'm getting in for...
And then attacking? Is that...
yeah.
The sequence looked a little strange. Like he tapped his creatures. That he was just like attack with these, kill your guy before blocks, I guess.
Right. I think he just kind of had this game plan that he was just going to do all these things.
I see.
And so just kind of attacked and is like, oh, wait, by the way, before you block, I'm going to kill this.
Yeah, that was weird. I was just like, is he convoking here? Or what is happening?
So Ricardo...
This is kind of interesting because Ricardo is end step or, just saving time by cracking his own Evolving Wilds. I didn't see if he could put any cards on top with his Flare, but they will be shuffled away here.
Yeah. So the sequencing with that is very important. If your plan is to play an Evolving Wilds with a Grimflayer in play, and that's the land, then you should always sacrifice the Evolving Wilds first so that you can manipulate the top 3 cards of your library if the Grimflayer gets through.
Yeah, and he did it in the opposite order. So if he did have cards that he wanted, well, he's going to have to get a little luckier to find them now. I do appreciate Ricardo, though, the timing of it, just because it's just convenient for the players and for us to say, yeah, let's just crack these at the same time.
It's like, I'm just going to crack my land. You can do whatever you want.
Right. Woodweaver's Pausanaut number 2, by the way, from Chris, puts him up to plenty of energy at 8. But he's still got work to do. He doesn't have anywhere to put it right now.
Yeah, so it looks like Ricardo still chose to keep some number of Grasp of Darknesses in. I'm really hoping that he has another hand disruption spell so that he can... to go with the game plan when he cast a Transgress the Mind, because he saw that Chris did have a way to get a second black with the Evolving Wilds. And if he kind of whiffs on the Transgress here, it's going to be really hard to beat a Descendant Mindbender. Looks like Ricardo's actually kind of short on lands here.
I just assumed he had another Transgress in his hand, but he doesn't look like he does.
No, it looks like just a lot of 3-drops and a
grapple with the pass. Is that what I see there?
Yeah, there's a grapple, a tracker, a Liliana, and I think a Gonti.
Gosh, those are good cards. It's just awkward for him.
Right.
Like he's gonna decide to just kind of risk it and hope to draw a land next turn, but by playing Liliana, using up his mana in the most efficient way that he can. He doesn't want to play the tracker without a land. Right. Though I gotta say, against Chris, it's probably not too risky.
Yeah. With Ricardo not having any hand disruption in hand, I think he just chose to play the Liliana just so that that's kind of the threat that he valued the most. Because Chris basically has the option of getting rid of whichever 3-drop or greater that he has in his hand. So I think he went for the Liliana, and Descendant Mindbender, very likely to hit the board next turn.
Yeah, now it's 3 and under and 4 and up. Is that correct with Mindbender? I'm going to double check just because I haven't actually seen that card in a little while.
Yeah, it used to be played a little bit in the green-black Delirium
Yeah,
decks,
but even then, it was never one of those cards that you saw a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you choose an online card with converted mana cost 3 or less and 4 or greater.
Right.
So he's going to hit Gonti plus either a tracker or a grapple, and then he's got one other card that I couldn't see.
Wow, so Chris actually has a Sanctum of Ugin here as well, so he does have the option of getting something even larger, but he's choosing not to use it.
So is he not, at this point, has he already passed, can he argue that the trigger for that's still on the stack? He's just resolving this one first?
Yes, they can both still be on the stack. You can stack it however you want.
But we didn't see any indication that
we didn't. Okay. So I'm assuming he's just not sacrificing it, but...
Is there a reason to not isn't that what it's for? To keep your hand field? I mean, sure, you lose the land in this scenario, but...
Yeah, I don't know what other 5-drops. I guess he does have cards like Baral's Expertise, which he might want the 5 mana for.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll buy it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it looks like Chris chose to take the Grasp of Darkness in hand because in conjunction with Liliana the Veil, you can actually get rid of the Descendant Mindbender here.
Sure. And, of course, the Gonti also said bye-bye. I really like this from Chris, though. I like the way that he's built this deck. If you told me that he was going to play, here's a Gonti now from Ricardo, this could get interesting. But if you told me I'm going to play Aetherworks Marvel now that Emrakul's been banned, and I'm just going to ignore the other best Eldrazi to put in it,
Yeah.
I would be like, are you crazy? But we've seen him emerge twice now.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a very smart plan, because if you hit them off of Marvel, they're still good. They're still very powerful plays, but it gives you an out to actually cast these spells.
Yeah, you basically get to just kind of play these value creatures that give you energy already in like kind of an emerge shell. And then you can just play 4 copies of Marvel, 4 puzzle knots, and call it a day.
But you're not embarrassed with what you're hitting.
Exactly.
Like if you hit a Distended Mindbender off of your Marvel, you're not like, well,
Yeah.
was that really worth it? It's like, no, that's pretty good. and you're draw stepping it too.
How awesome would it have been if Ricardo hit an emerge creature off the Gonti?
Oh my God! What if he did?
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I did not see what he actually took off of it. Getting a Marvel doesn't seem great. So Chris has access to a ton of energy, but not really a great way to use it here. And it looks like Ricardo's actually done a pretty good job of coming back here. Chris can't really attack into the Gonti because it has Death Touch. Ricardo doing a delirium check here. We have Planeswalker, instant land creature, so that's 4. He's opting to traverse. He does have a Tireless Tracker in hand. I wonder if he's just going to get an Evolving Wilds. All right, yeah, so that's what he chooses to do. Get 2 clues off the tracker. I've done that many a time. One thing with the Black-Green Delirium deck is you basically get to kind of cheat on the number of lands you play because you have access to traverse the Ovenwald.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the times, like even when you're delirious, you want to be getting more lands because you're just always looking to have more lands in play. And again, the deck only plays 23 lands.
So tracker clue.
This is a very aggressive attack.
Whoa, what are we doing here? He's getting in with Gonti? Chris is like, sure, man. The dynamic here obviously being that Gonti's holding back Distended Mindbender, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Ricardo likes to live life on the edge here.
I love it. Ricardo's just picking a fight. He's like, hey, man, you want to raise? And Chris is like, yeah.
Ricardo's trading 2 damage for 7 here.
On a player that had 2 puzzle knots sitting on the board. This is very aggressive stuff from Ricardo.
I think that attack was maybe like kind of hoping that it gets a trade with the Mindbender so he could get it back with grapple. I'm trying to figure out kind of the thought process behind that. But yeah, that...
I mean, but there's no way Chris is taking him up on that for just 2
No,
measly
of course
damage.
not. Of course not.
Interesting stuff. He's going to sacrifice Evolving Wilds.
Maybe it all makes sense once Ricardo casts the card off the Gonti. So will we be able to see the card exiled from Gonti here? Okay, interesting. So Ricardo opted to play a land to get another clue here.
He has pumped the brakes, by the way. On the
He's like, wait, that was not a good interaction.
Like, this didn't work out the way I hoped. I'm just going to sit back. What were you going to say, though?
The thing is, it looks like Ricardo has a land in hand, and he's got a Tireless Tracker with a bunch of clues. Generally, what you want to do is look for answers here, right? If he finds a removal spell for Distended Mindbender, if he cracks the clue first, he still has mana to ruin his path, the Distended Mindbender. Then he can actually attack. But instead, he's opting to just
crack the
clues end of turn. He could have also hit a Grimflare. There's just a lot of things he could have hit if he at least sacrificed one.
Oh, it was Fatal Push underneath that.
That's
did he draw his cards, though? Did I miss something?
I think he did.
Okay, he cracked 2 clues, but he should have at least 3 cards in it, or at least 2 cards in hand.
Yeah, I'm not
like,
exactly
I didn't
sure.
see him. Look, he's only got 1 card.
Wait, what happened? Didn't he draw 2 cards?
Yeah, he didn't draw them.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the best part.
He's like, sweet, I get another card. It's like a free roll.
Well, he gets another card. Yeah. So that was a judge hand in there, I believe, saying, hey, man, now draw for your turn.
Okay.
Yes.
Look at that.
Like, he did not draw a card off
Going
of
from
either.
1 card to 4 cards. Wow.
Don't worry, Ricardo. I would never let that stand. Not while I'm on watch here. He's like, dude, I should probably draw the cards. No, but I mean, you can see why. It was because he was setting up this fatal push with Revolt, and so he was focusing on that. But yeah, just, dude, draw your cards.
So this is one of those games where it does look like Ricardo has stabilized and is firmly ahead. But at any given point, Chris can just top deck a Marvel and just be right back in the game.
Yeah. What does he have? 14 energy?
I think it's 16, right? Isn't that
you're right. It is 16. Yeah, it's just off camera, but that little dot means that that's another 6. Yes.
And potentially 22 with the 2.
All right. Okay, well, now Ricardo's attacking because he can actually just attack into the Distended Mindbender at this point. Distended Mindbender is a 5/5. He's got Gaunty on defense. He's got an additional clue that's going to dissuade Chris from blocking here.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is Ricardo actually going to come back and win here? These clues are starting to add up.
Yeah, I think Ricardo's actually very firmly ahead here.
But it doesn't take much, does it?
Exactly. Ricardo does want to kind of close out the game as quickly as possible here. Again, if Chris just draws a Marvel, he's just right back in it.
What about a Mindbender? That's what he drew.
Wow.
How does that interact here? He doesn't have enough mana to just cast it. It costs 8 to hard cast.
So he can emerge
He's close. He can emerge it out, but it would cost him his other Distended Mindbender. And boy, he would really like to have 2 of them to get in the way of this Tireless Tracker.
Yeah.
But that being said, Chris is sitting at 22 life with 2 Woodweaver's Puzzle Knots. It's not like he's going to die right away.
Yeah, because he has time, Chris does opt to just wait to see what he draws, because now he's at the point where basically any draw step is live. If he draws a land, he can just hard cast the Mindbender. If he doesn't, it's going to be an action card.
In the meantime, Ricardo sitting with 6 cards in hand at this point, thanks to that Tireless Tracker. You can see it's got 4 counters. He's drawn 4 extra cards off of it, and now it looks like he's going to go up to 6 here. Tireless Tracker MVP.
Tireless Tracker is basically a Planeswalker.
Yeah, it kind of is.
I'm just sad every time my opponent just plays an Evolving Wilds with a Tireless Tracker in play. It's just a very, very bad feeling.
Yeah. I'm assuming that's 17 energy, but it could be 125.
Yeah, it could be. Ooh, interesting. Ricardo does have a Pick the Brain in hand, and Chris did take some time in the previous turn, so he might be tempted to use the Pick the Brain here. Chris is basically hellbent. He's basically has no cards in hand. So if you're going to use a hand disruption spell, this is an okay spot, I think, to try to get something out of his hand.
It's probably not getting better, right?
Right. Chris is just going to have no cards in hand for most of the game, unless he has a threat. If he has a threat, it's probably better just to play the threat, given that he only has 1 card in hand.
Ricardo surely has Delirium as well. And as it stands, if he does fire off that Pick the Brain, it's pretty good. It takes the Distended Mindbender plus the other ones.
Plus all the other copies, yeah.
I mean, the fact that Chris is in an awkward spot where he's felt the need to wait here could punish him.
Right. And I don't think it's an unreasonable line by Chris either.
I don't either. It made sense. It's just going to work out, unfortunately, for him.
Okay, interesting. So Ricardo choosing to hold the Pick the Brain, and it looks like he's probably going to be cracking a clue and using the grapple. Although if you wanted to crack the clue, again, probably better to try to get in for an extra point of damage and get a little more information.
All right, 1,226 energy now is the assumption.
Swing and a miss. Well, actually, no, that's kind of a hit, right? He hit the land.
What did he hit? Yeah, he's got land number 8, and there's the Distended Mindbender. So full punishment here for Ricardo, because now Chris has decided, I'm going to go ahead and use my Sanctum of Ugin. He decided not to earlier in the game when he didn't have as many lands, but now he knows they're expendable, and he's going to be able to get it. Now, this does get kind of interesting, though, with that Pick the Brain, doesn't it?
Yes.
Because, Chris is going to be basically compelled to take it.
Yeah.
With them, he kind of has to, even if Ricardo has something good that costs 3 or less. At this point, Ricardo's going to know what Chris has in his hand.
Right.
Chris can't cast it right away, so it's just going to get taken away anyway. So that's going to have to go.
So Ricardo doesn't have any expensive cards in hand, so Chris actually only gets 1 card off of this.
So he just has to take the Pick the Brain.
If he wants to get another threat, yes.
So is there a timing sequence where he cannot choose to just leave the Sanctum of Ugin on the battlefield?
Right,
here?
so what happens is when you cast the Distended Mindbender, both the Sanctum of Ugin's trigger and Distended Mindbender's abilities both go into stack.
Okay.
The active player can basically decide which ability resolves first.
Okay.
Get information, look at the hand, see whether or not you want to use the Sanctum of Ugin,
Right.
and then proceed. So in this scenario, Chris decided to actually take Grasp of Darkness and not use the Sanctum of Ugin, and Ricardo basically has a Pictobrain, which does effectively nothing.
Okay. And now that he knows about it, it really does nothing.
Right.
Yeah. Chris does not have many reactive cards in his deck. He's going to cast basically anything he finds off the top of his library from here on out.
And the Clue Train just keeps getting Ricardo further and further ahead here.
That is really, the whole game has focused. I mean, Chris, despite not finding an Aetherworks Marvel and having a surplus of energy, has still done powerful things. He's cast 2 Distended Mindbenders this game, but it just feels like the Tireless Tracker is absolutely dominating this board state.
Oh, yeah. Ricardo basically is just looking for a Ruinous Path at this point to get in.
Just take out a Mindbender and start
Exactly.
smashing. Yeah, okay.
Looks like they found the... Oh, okay. So Tireless Tracker currently a 9... Or sorry, a 10-9. So Chris can choose to get rid of it, but it would involve him losing both of his creatures.
Chris, by the way, is at 20 energy.
We ran the numbers?
I was joking earlier. Yeah,
1,226.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Ishkanav's fine here. Ishkanav's fine here. The Gonti's doing a good job, but it's really Tireless Tracker or bust.
Yeah.
And Chris Patello has just simply not found an answer
for
Tireless Tracker.
Yeah, with the Ishkana, I would have actually been tempted to probably just... This is the turn where I probably would have actually attacked with Gonti as opposed to the other turns.
Yes.
Because you do have your defenses set up, and all right, it looks like we're going to game 3.
Yeah, that is going to, in fact, do it here. Chris found nothing off the top of his library. I'm a little surprised to see him scoop there. He still had a Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot, and I think even if Ricardo attacks with everything, Chris can chump block the tracker, trade with Gonti, or with whatever, Ishkana. And even if Ricardo activates it, I think he survives the turn. Now, he may have not had out to actually win the game, but...
Right. Yeah, again...
It's been a good one.
His deck doesn't really have any large sweeper type effects. So even if he drew the Marvel, I don't think he could have hit something that allowed him to come back there.
Man. Tireless Tracker.
Every time I look at
You
Chris's
the real MVP, buddy.
Every time I look at Chris's deck, I just find out more and more sweet cards.
Wait, are you holding out on me again?
Okay, well, look, I didn't look at the full sideboard.
How dare you not tell me about the Baral's expertise the first time around? That's the sweetest card in his deck.
Well, it was kind of like on the bottom with the Puzzle Knot, to be fair. He also has a copy of Ricardo's expertise in the sideboard.
Really? Draw 5, play a 5-drop? I love it.
Yeah. Although there's really not a lot of great cards to play off of it because all of his big spells cost more than 5.
Yeah,
but
that's true. That's true.
Although Rishkar's expertise into Baral's expertise, oh my goodness.
And then I'll settle for just like a Rogue Refiner at the bottom of that chain. That's fine by me.
It's basically Bituminous Blast into Bloodbraid Elf all over again. Yeah, if you can pull that off.
You're going old school, buddy.
Oh yeah.
I do remember that. A lot of the jokes that you guys like that you high level pros, old school players make, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know, but I do get that.
Right.
I want it noted for the permanent record that I got that joke. All right, players are going to consult their sideboards.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed out of Ricardo's sideboard plan is he's still kept in Fatal Push, and I think there's exactly 4 targets in Chris's deck for the Fatal Push. So I feel like if you have access to other removal, you likely want to go with those over the pushes. Especially when he was on the play, right? I can see maybe a consideration when you're on the draw because they get to play the Conduit on 2 or whatever and you want to kind of catch up. But
All right, well, there's the conduit on 2, and ideal 2 drops probably for both players here.
Yeah, that's a turn 2 Grimflayer every game.
Yeah. And a Tireless Tracker plus an Evolving Wilds here on turn 3. That's pretty good.
Giving Ricardo a taste of his own medicine here.
Yeah, absolutely. Ricardo, take that. Even if you kill the Tireless Tracker now, his legacy, her legacy will be left behind. It's so tough to keep up from that. Man, I remember looking at Tireless Tracker when it came out and being like, that thing's a house and limited, and thinking like probably a little too slow for standard. I was way wrong. Man, I just did not realize that you'd have enough time this consistently to just completely capitalize on all these clues. And here we go, perfect example. Grasp of Darkness takes the thing out immediately, and the damage is already done.
Right.
I mean, it's a 3-for-1.
I had it at the pre-release, and when I first read it, I'm generally actually very bad at kind of evaluating cards when I look at them. And I was like, oh, this card seems pretty good. And then I played with it, and then I was like, no, this card's actually unreasonable.
Yeah.
It's unreasonably good.
Card's dumb. It's real dumb. What is this nonsense? Distended Mindbender on turn 4. Well, we had a good run. He let Chris play. He let Ricardo play for a while, did Chris, but now he's back to his Havoc here. He's going to take out Liliana.
Only getting 1. You know, generally the blowouts involve being able to get two things, but still has a 5/5 on the board, and Ricardo doesn't have an immediate answer, so the Grimflayer can't even attack.
Whoa, murder off the top, though, for Ricardo. That's how you do it. Let's see what he's got. Let's see, he's got Planeswalker, instant.
Land. I think that's it.
Instant.
Yeah.
No, there's an Ishkanah there, isn't there?
Yeah, he is delirious.
So he is delirious, and here we go. Wow, that was a big turn.
That was huge. Chris is definitely not out of it, though. He's still got 2 clues. He's got some energy. It looked like he had a lot of action in his hand.
Nah, he's out of it. This game's over. We'll be back next round. We've definitely got a game on our hands here. By the way, good old Catacomb Sifter still doing work.
Yeah, is that a fatal push? It is.
Oh, I love this, buddy. We got a slugfest on our hands now. You want to trade resources? Let's do that. And you know what's funny? I already know how this is going to go. Those clues. It's going to be those clues. Chris is going to win this game in 17 turns. It's going to be those stupid clues that he got from that Tireless Tracker on turn 3.
Yeah, Tracker just always comes ahead, especially when the games get this grindy.
The thing is, Ricardo's deck is supposed to be able to grind, right? I mean, it does have the ability to do a lot of the stuff that they are.
I believe that is a Rishkar's Expertise in Chris's hand. It's only going to draw him 2 cards right now, so it's basically, in a pinch he'll use it, but he still has access to those 2 clues, which he can still use to draw some cards.
So I think the players are actually in extra turns here, Paul.
Oh. Was that turn 5?
This is turn 5, yeah.
Oh.
I just saw that dice down there, and I wasn't told, so it looks like we're going to head for a draw here. How miserable. Oh,
it was such an exciting match.
I feel like my heart just got broken by Chris and Ricardo together. Like, how dare you?
It didn't even seem especially slow. We were just watching the match.
I mean, I guess we did have a game where one player spun the Marvel 5 times.
That is true. The games were kind of grindy.
That does take a little while, and the next game was not a particularly slow game either. But, man, I wanted to see who won that.
Oh, me too. That one looked pretty fun. I wanted to see the Rishkar's Expertise be cast in Constructed.
God. Okay, well, that is going to do it for round 2 here from Pittsburgh. We'll be back with more Magic after these messages.